It's now the yen rallying again. The Japanese currency is about 2.5% stronger against the US dollar just a day after its sharpest fall since 1974. And in Europe, the pound and euro both rising against the dollar ahead of an expected interest rate cut by the Federal Reserve. Currency markets becoming almost as volatile, it seems, as the stock markets. Let's get some insight into this new curveball for the financial world. Joining us, Keith Miller, currency strategist at Corporate FX. Keith, welcome once again. Sony's second quarter profits plunging 72%. That's being blamed in particular on a surging yen. The strong yen is not good for Japanese exporters. Why this resurgence in strength for the yen?
The yen the yen carry trade is a major factor in this. A lot of people are not only investing in the emerging economies, they're also selling the yen to buy the high-yielding currencies such as the Australian dollar and the Kiwi. Any indication in the market that this trend will reverse will create an unwinding of that carry trade. Now, what we're seeing of late, particularly with the lack of confidence in the emerging economies and the interest rate decreases in Australia and the Kiwi, we're seeing a very aggressive unwinding of this carry trade, and that is spilling straight back into Japan and thus buying up a lot of this Japanese yen.
So what happens, I mean, we saw the fall yesterday. That was when the Bank of Japan hinted that it might cut interest rates down to a quarter of a basis point. On Friday. I suppose that makes the carry trade more attractive again. So what, will the yen weaken?
It does. It will. If they decrease their interest rates, not only will it widen the gap between the interest rates on the carry trade between the higher yielders, it will also make the yen effectively less attractive for investors. So the yen will then be sold on the back of it, and we'll see an increasing risk appetite, and that yen carry trade will start to open up again. That's what we're beginning to see, but the fluctuations between the risk appetite increasing and decreasing are continuing to happen, exactly what we saw yesterday.
Okay, let's talk about the US dollar. Now, a couple of months ago, everyone had all but written off the US dollar. I mean, the pound and the euro at record levels against the dollar. Now look at it. You've got the pound and the euro in the doldrums and the dollar surging ahead again. What's behind that?
It's a very similar story to the yen. It is associated with the carry trade, where people are selling dollar to buy the higher yielders. We've got to look at the global economy, and that includes the stock markets. There's no confidence out there in any of the sectors, financials, technology, automotive. We've seen the stocks, the major industries around the world coming down in unprecedented levels. They run to an area. Where do they run? They'll often run to what's seen as a safe haven, and that safe haven will then accelerate the rush to it, and that safe haven at the moment is the US dollar. Why
is the US dollar, though, so attractive? I mean, are the fundamentals any different to how they were 6 months ago, or is this purely psychological?
It's not psychological. The fundamentals are not good. The US dollar is effectively the prettiest of the ugly sisters at the moment. None of the fundamentals in any of the major economies are attractive. However, you've got to put your money, you've got to put your investments somewhere, and we're seeing a movement to cash. And the US dollar, we're seeing a herd effect, if you like. As soon as one person does it, that instills certain confidence, and it accelerates the move to that, and it is the US dollar, as it has been many times.
So what does the strength of the yen and the strength of the dollar mean for the poor old euro and the pound and all the other currencies that are falling against them?
It's being sold. It is being sold. We're seeing new balances, particularly in the import and export trade around the world. Japanese, I mean, we've seen Sony, Canon, they're facing major problems. There's going to be a lot of companies coming out of not only Japan but also in the US who are facing these problems. And there will be some kind of rebalance. We're already seeing sterling and euro making some ground against the US dollar. The rate decision today is going to leave the US interest rates down at 1%. How much further can they realistically go on trying to ease monetary policy at 1%? There's not much room. So we'll start to see, I think we'll start to see a plateau on the US dollar, and at some point or another, sterling and euro are going to have to try and readdress and catch up.
Okay. Well, Keith, really appreciate you coming in. I don't know, we were saying that the currency markets are just as volatile as the stock markets at the moment. No grey hairs yet. You don't look as though you're under stress. Many thanks indeed.